to the shoulder. Yeah.
You do it all the time now. If you want to see joy,
We'll be right back.
Am I not allowed to say fuck? So
now we're taking away your identity.
I'm gonna humiliate you all.
Good luck.
Jameela Jamil is a woman whose story deserves to be told.
I'm going to be giving Taylor Swift the Artist of the Decade award.
All right, you lot, London Fashion Week is just around the corner, and for the first time, T4 is going to be there.
I'm just about to go on my first ever Jimmy Kimmel, and I'm very afraid and very excited.
Known around the world as a funny girl on television, Jameela has found strength through her setbacks.
I had so many things that I should have been proud of myself for, but I just hated myself because I never ever thought I was thin enough, even when I was 90 pounds.
Don't use products sold to you by celebrities. These people use plastic surgeons and don't admit to it.
I'll do anything I can to stop young people from going through what I went through when I was younger.
Everything that she dealt with forged someone who is willing to be a warrior for mental health for other people.
She's a wonderful spirit. She says what she feels and believes.
Everyone struggles with mental health issues, and that's why I'm so passionate about talking about mental health issues. It's nothing to be ashamed of. People they just need help.
The most extraordinary lives follow undefined paths. To find your voice, you may need to journey into the unknown. I'm Carlos Watson, editor of OZY, and these are Defining Moments. When I first met Jameela Jamil to shoot this story, neither of us could have imagined the world as it is today.
Can you come out and sleep?
Oh, yeah. Feels like some sort of dystopia.
It does. It really does. It's so strange.
Margaret?
It's too bad that I'm not seeing you in person.
I know. We've been having all kinds of gossips.
Six months ago, when I sat down with Jameela, she had just made a guest appearance on The View.
Hi.
How are you?
Hello, I'm all right, darling.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Hi.
How did they treat you earlier today?
Very well. I got to meet Whoopi Goldberg, and they captured that, so...
Really?
Yeah.
I'm just going to take this opportunity to tell you that I am your super fan. You are everything I love and want to be.
Whoopi.
To the point where there's a picture of me the first time I ever came to Los Angeles. She looked so freaked out. I spooned your star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
She wasn't my hero since I was about 6.
Really?
Yeah. Jumping Jack Flash, Ghost, and The Colour Purple, everything she's ever done.
Yeah.
She's my hero.
So if I'd met you as a little girl, would you have said you wanted to be an actress?
No, I just loved these people. I wanted to be a doctor. I am South Asian as fuck.
As a child, Jameela learned that she had something special. Were you funny before you started doing the TV show?
I guess humor was always my defense mechanism. I grew up around very mentally ill people and registered by the age of 3 that I could cheer them up by being funny. And so I learned that that was a great way to make everyone happy, was to make them laugh. And so I guess I must have developed it as a skill set to cheer people up when they were sad. My mother and my father were immigrants in the UK, and my dad wanted a son, and so he kind of raised me as a tomboy.
That wonderful height you had, did you ever wander near the basketball court?
No, I was a swimmer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so
okay.
I've got these shoulders, these fucking shoulders. I was on a proper training team for the UK. I was training from the age of about 6 until 12, 6 hours a day with a Russian coach. I was a very serious young athlete.
But Jameela's hopes of becoming an Olympic swimmer were cut short.
I was deaf most of my childhood, and I had to have 7 major operations before the age of 12. And by the time I was 12, they were just like, you've had so many operations, and my eardrums kept on bursting because I was diving. So they just said, this is it. Like, either you have to quit swimming or you're going to be completely deaf for the rest of your life. The thing that you thought you would do with your whole existence is gone, otherwise you go deaf. It's one or the other. So at 12 years old, I had to make the choice to stop swimming. And I had a big operation where they kind of replaced my eardrum with skin. Very grateful that an operation was able to afford me most of my hearing.
At 12 years old, Jameela's battle with her health had only just begun.
I also have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a congenital condition, which means that like nothing on me works. Can you see this? It looks like Photoshop.
Whoa, do this again.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a condition that affects the connective tissue in the body and causes overly flexible joints and loose, stretchy skin that bruises easily. It only complicated a lifetime of struggle that Jameela would have with her body.
I remember like a maths teacher when I was 11 weighing all of the girls in school.
Literally weighing you?
Literally weighed us in front of each other, and that was it. That was the day I found out I was the heaviest girl in my year. I was so sad that I wasn't swimming anymore. All that muscle turned to fat, and I became very chubby. That was it. Like, the taunting started immediately. And then when I would eat at the canteen, people would like tap my belly or my thighs at school. And it was only then that I realized that, oh no, this is something that people don't like and is a thing to be ashamed of. And now I have to try and get rid of it. And so that's when I started starving myself. I was about 12. You know, my family are also people who, you know, value being thin. And mostly it was our society. It was fashion magazines, it was heroin chic, it was Hollywood. It was just, I was hazed by the age of 11 with images of very thin white women. There were no brown women, there were no curvy women. Probably Oprah and Whoopi were all I had at that time, and Queen Latifah. There was no one else to look at other than very, very skinny white women, and I thought that that's what I need to look like in order to be acceptable. I started like hiding my food, binge starve, weighing myself every single day, all day. I was a very, very academic kid, and very bright academic anorexics are often the ones who are best at covering up the anorexia. The brag was like, look how much I'm eating, while secretly starving yourself. And so it's very performative. So I didn't want anyone to stop me on my mission to a size 0. So I kept it very secret.
In addition to feeling shame about her weight, Jameela had very few role models.
There was no one for me to look up to or look at. Like, no South Asians were portrayed as the beautiful woman or the heroine or the sex symbol or the love interest. Like, we just weren't around. We weren't depicted on television and in films. I mean, if you're a woman of color, you just felt erased.
And so then how did you end up veering off of that? What happened?
So when I was 17, I got hit by a car into another car, broke my back, and
You were driving?
No, I was walking. I was jaywalking. It was my fault.
Okay.
It was totally my fault. I was running away from a bee that wasn't chasing me. I just saw a bee, and I ran into the road.
Do you remember the moment before?
Yeah. I was just looking at the bee. And then I remember the moment afterwards when I was lying in the middle of the ground and everyone had heard the car hit my body, and I flew up in the air and landed. But because of my whole bendy congenital thing, I bent when anyone else would have broken. So this weird condition saved my life. Being hit by the car was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I would do it all over again. It knocked sense into me, and it made me grateful for the life I have, which changed my relationship with my body and made me stop starving myself, and made me respect the human body as this incredible instrument that did so much for me that I was never grateful for. We live in a consumerism-obsessed, capitalist society that is desperate for us to never be grateful for what we have, because if we are content, we will not consume.
Jameela's new perspective would take her from a lonely teenager to one of the most recognizable television stars today, and a woman who is known for fighting for what she believes in.
I was on a mission. I'm gonna write what I weigh. And I was like, I weigh my financial independence, my relationship, my friendships. I weigh the sum of my motherfucking parts.
I think we're getting a bunch of Iway stuff in.
Yeah, I think that the content that you're coming out with on Iway is so much more powerful than what you think of as a newsletter.
Iway is Jameela's passion project, a social media community.
We're so close to 1 million followers.
Really?
We'll hit it like today.
It's gonna be today.
Yeah, I think we're gonna hit 1 million today. It's a bit mad how much it's grown over the last, will be 2 years, on February 24th. I didn't think anyone would care.
Okay.
But I'm getting ahead of our story. Jameela's journey to become an activist started after she was run over by a car when she was 17.
I've been lying in a bed for a year and a half, watching television by myself.
Were you bored out of your mind?
No, I was a compulsive television watcher because I had nothing else to do. I couldn't move. I watched Oprah all day long, NBC shows, Ted Danson shows.
Jameela's recovery gave her a new lease on life.
I don't have schooling. I left school at 16, and so I tried every single job that you could get if you didn't have qualifications. I was a tester for products.
Guinea pig?
Yeah, I was a guinea pig.
That sounds a little freaky.
It was insane. I tried waitressing, I was a temp, I was a secretary. I worked in a video store, which I loved, and still to this day might be my favorite job I've ever had.
What were you good at?
Nothing.
Who do you turn to for advice?
Yeah, I've never had a mentor. That's why I make so many fucking mistakes. If I had a fucking mentor, wouldn't have made so many mistakes. I never had a plan. I am open to what is in the periphery, and I think that's where the magic is. It's the things that come in that you don't expect. Being open to those, not just being like, no, 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 I've got my plan. I've never had a set path of how I'm going to achieve something. Because of that, I get to enjoy all of the magic of the unpredictable stuff.
For Jameela, that magic came in the form of a chance encounter.
One night at the pub after work, a TV producer met me.
Did you know this TV producer?
No. We were just happening to stand next to each other, started a conversation. He told me that he thought I was funny and that I should go for this nationwide audition for the biggest youth TV show. I was like, no, I think show business is disgusting. I would never want to be a part of that. And he was like, okay, well, it's £1,000 a day. And I was like, sorry, what? What's the email address?
You spoke into the wrong ear.
Yeah.
Say that louder.
So I went for the audition. I got it, and a week later was starting on live television in the UK, having had no previous training, no idea, like never even gone to stage school, nothing. I'd had no instructions given to me other than when the red light goes on, don't say fuck. Imagine your first ever job is live on TV. And I remember I had like an earpiece in and they're talking to me and I read the teleprompter and I finish it and it went perfectly. And so I was like, oh, cool, it's done. And they're like, their network haven't taken us. Now, I don't know what that means. Right. I'm just a kid. Right. I'm like 21 or something, 22. And the network haven't taken us. Phil. And I'm like, I think they're looking for Phil. Is there a Phil here? And they're like, no, Phil. And I was like, guys, they really need Phil. They're really, they're looking for Phil. I was like, are you Phil? Are you Phil? And the final thing I say on air is, where the fuck is Phil? And then the network takes us. So that was my first ever link on live television.
Nice.
I wasn't fired, but I was given a very stern talking to.
Jameela is someone who's willing to mess up in public, kind of this progress, not perfection, and who really embodies it.
I guess because I was one of the only brown faces on TV, my sort of star rose very quickly. Within about 6 months, I became one of the faces of the network. And within about a year, I got my own show with my name on it. I became a kind of like staple of UK TV. It was a very quick rise. It happened within 3 years, so I went from complete obscurity.
Were you able to process all that, or is this you now looking back?
Me looking back.
Okay.
That was a really bizarre time in my life. I was so busy and just being pulled in like 15 different directions and not being looked after. When I was 26, I made history as the first woman to ever host the official chart on BBC Radio 1, which is one of their flagship shows. It's been on air for 60 years and a woman has never been the host.
Is the official chart on BBC Radio 1. It's Sunday, it's 4 o'clock. I'm Jameela Jamil, and this is the UK's only official chart. Listen to what this guy says.
There are other charts on the radio, but they don't matter. This is the only chart that counts.
So I get this giant job, and it's one of the most coveted jobs in radio, and I've made history, and it's such a brilliant, powerful moment for women. And the only thing released about me on that day was that I'd gained weight. And there were pictures of me and how many dress sizes I'd gained. And I was like, I'm on the fucking radio. You can't see me. Why do you have to just know I'm thin over the airwaves? Is like that how far the patriarchy has gone that you just need to know a thin woman is talking to you? So you stick a young, mentally ill person right into the middle of the limelight with no prep and not really a team around her to help her. People don't help artists or young, famous people. They just keep pushing them to do more and more and more, and no one thinks about our mental health, and they think because we have privilege, that kind of offsets all the trauma that comes with the invasion of fame and then the pressure, especially when you're a woman, and the scrutiny is on your appearance and every single thing about you. As a former anorexic, you know, who still had body dysmorphia, to have my body criticized and like critique was really hard. But very quickly I started to realize that you get congratulated when you get thinner. And stylists prefer working with you, and TV stations will give you more jobs, and magazines will shoot you more, and you get to be in the bigger magazines the thinner you are. And you fit the obedient, like, mold.
Feeling the pressure to be more thin and already wrestling with demons in her mind, Jameela wasn't prepared for the news that she was about to receive.
I was just very, very unwell. A doctor said, oh, you might have cancer.
There's a picture of me the first time I ever came to Los Angeles. She looked so freaked out.
This show's about defining moments. It's about people like yourself who, while we may know them today as successes, maybe not everything worked out exactly the way they wanted to. What have been your defining moments?
Okay, so my defining moments were 28. I found a doctor found a lump in my breast and was like, oh, you might have cancer. I had to wait a week before I found the results, and I made a sort of fuck it list instead of a bucket list of everything I would do if it turns out I don't have cancer. Number one on that was move to California. After when I found out I had the all clear, I had the lump removed, and 6 weeks after that I was allowed to travel. One-way ticket, all my belongings in a couple of bags, no visa, no plans, no contacts, no friends. So that was a defining moment. And then my first audition was for The Good Place.
Oh!
Yeah.
You got your first audition?
Yeah.
And so,
not a popular story in Hollywood.
That's a good line. Okay, that's good.
But,
So how did it happen?
So I got here, didn't know what to do, thought I'd probably just be a writer and a DJ, and The Good Place audition came in, and my agents were just like, why don't you just go to this? And I was like, no, I don't know how to act, I don't want to be an actor, I don't want to be on camera anymore. And they were like, just go to the audition, all right? They need an Indian. Go. It's an annoying, overly tall Indian, just go. And, you know, I found out the next day I'd been called back. I started a month later, opposite Ted Danson. My first scene was with him, and that was a big moment for me.
You have such a nice taste for comedy, which I'm sure delights lots of people in your...
That's the thing that I think I bring. I think I make people feel safe to tell the truth because I'm so shameless about my own. Acting and hosting and celebritying comes way down the line compared to where I care about activism.
Tell me about Iway and your decision not just to do stuff on your own, but to try and build something.
I saw a post on Instagram that had a picture of the Kardashians and their weights written across their bodies. And once you click on a picture like that once, the algorithm will start sending more similar photos to you. So suddenly it was Selena Gomez and what she weighs, and Taylor Swift and what she weighs, and Jennifer Aniston and what she weighs. I was like, this is insane. So I started trying to find pictures of men and what they weigh. Couldn't find one. If you're not a UFC fighter, no one knows what you weigh.
Okay.
We do value women by how much space they take up in society. We value small, slim, tiny, childlike women who aren't getting in the way of a man. And I just snapped. And so I'm gonna write my way. And I was like, I weigh my financial independence, my relationship, my friendships. I weigh the abuse I've overcome. I weigh the sum of my motherfucking parts. And I posted that to Twitter, and I didn't expect thousands of women to post theirs back to me. It's this totally organic movement made by the people for the people. And it is just this beautiful, safe space on the internet where it's not just about body image, it's about if you're trans, if you are mentally ill, if you are non-binary, if you are fat, if you are thin, if you are disabled, you will find yourself on our pages. You will find support. There's no hate in the comments. It's just this glorious sign of hope for humanity.
Wow.
I love this story. I was with her and someone came up and they're like, I love everything that you stand for, like for her personal social media. And then they were giving other examples of accounts that she should follow that are in the same vein, and they suggested Iway, which means they didn't even realize it was her thing, which is kind of one of those things where, you realize like it's bigger than yourself.
I'm being given a platform in the most problematic areas to speak about how problematic those areas are. For as long as anyone's willing to listen to me, I'm going to just keep obsessively telling the truth until as many people as I can get to feel safe to tell theirs.
The numbers, courtesy of Johns Hopkins University. Worldwide now, more than 2.6 million confirmed cases of coronavirus, totaling nearly 183,000 deaths in 185 countries and regions. Here in the U.S., the number of cases now totaling about 845,000, with just over 47,000 confirmed deaths here in the U.S. across all 50 states.
In Hollywood, the center of America's entertainment industry, nearly 300,000 jobs were lost. TV and film production were forced to shut down, and the recovery is expected to be slow going.
Hi.
Not only have lives and livelihoods been affected, Hollywood and the world are learning to adapt. How long was it since I saw you last? Was it 6 months? Was it more?
February, I think. January, February? Before the entire world.
Like
It's why I think it's good that we're doing this again, because
does that feel like a world away to you, or what's that?
oh shit, this is gonna be. I was saying that it's before the entire world went mad, so I'm glad that we're doing this again, because everything would have felt so irrelevant had we not, because it was such a different time.
You know, with everything going on with quarantine, it's made me think more about the importance of checking in on your mental health. I'm sure being in the spotlight makes it more difficult. How are you?
I have become calmer in some ways, more anxious and frantic in others, because I'm scared about what's happening to other people in the world. And I think I've also become, strangely, in spite of how horrifying this year is, I think I've become a more hopeful person. I think I've developed more faith in humanity. You know, while we've seen terrible injustices exposed, we've also seen the way that the world has responded.
Talk to me a little bit about one of the conversations that you and I have had, which is women who often speak their mind confidently, have enormous amounts of pushback. Mm-hmm. Has that been one of the conversations that you've had as well during this 6 to 8 months?
Definitely. After we saw each other last, you know, where we'd had a lovely interview together, it's a shame we weren't covering all of that moment together, because my life got turned upside down briefly.
It's a little bit crazy, too, to see both sides of what is the actual truth and what gets spun out. But I think a lot of things people wouldn't say to someone's face.
All of a sudden, just smear campaign after smear campaign hit me, and I had what truly felt like the entire internet for a while commenting on my sexuality, commenting on my integrity, my mental health, my physical health of my family, and I was accused of all kinds of things that I had never done or been a part of.
Women who behave in any way that's saying what we care about, what we want, we get all kinds of adjectives that probably men would not get.
At the time, it felt awful, because I think being gaslit about your health by the world, by a bunch of people who don't know you and they aren't your doctor, was very painful. But now it's over, I'm really glad it happened, because it's changed my entire perspective on everything, and it's had the exact opposite effect. You know, what they do is they shame you, humiliate you, overexpose you, and subject you to immense global bullying in the hopes that you will just fuck off. And that's what most people do, especially women. We tend to just be like, oh God, okay, well, everyone hates me and I can't actually take this. I'm gonna kill myself if I continue to be subjected to this kind of trauma. So they step out. It's made me, now I'm pissed. I was already angry with social injustice, but now I am pissed. And now I want to tell everyone and explain this system to everyone, and now I want to fight harder. And, you know, I don't have anything to lose because I never wanted to be famous.
To have companionship, that's what a movement is for. You know, we support each other because if it happens to you, there's a danger that you will think that you have earned it or deserve it in some way. And when you talk to other women to whom it has also happened, women very different from you, it helps you to know that it's systemic.
And I was like, maybe I'll just disappear and then I can just have my life back. But then I thought, no, that's exactly what they fucking want me to do. Why don't I just conduct an experiment, you know, in this age of kind of cancellation? Do many people actually get cancelled? No. What if I don't cancel myself? What if I just stick around? And I did.
Shame loses a little bit of its power because shame is an abuser, I think, that is relying on your silence.
We create the idea of backlash and we create the illusion of someone being over and finished in the hopes that they will just resign. And we especially do that to women because women are more coded than men with the idea that we must be approved of and we have to be acceptable. And if everyone doesn't love us, then we must get out of their sight and not bother them with our existence. We have to smile, we have to be likable, we have to be obedient. And being able to have the strength to realize I don't owe anyone being approved of. I don't owe it to anyone to be liked. I'm here to do a job.
Whether it's eating disorders or mental health or relationships with family and friends.
We believe that if you can see it, you can be it.
She's been an activist since she was 19.
And so we try to represent as many people from around the world as we can.
I just hope that she carries her spirit into the world.
We've taken it from an Instagram account, now we're sending out these essays from young activists around the world, and I'm able to use my platform to give them a platform, and that's so exciting. And we're just, that's it, we're off. We're gonna try and change the world with the help of the world.